just said recording in progress, so I think.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome everybody. I will wait for a couple of minutes just to be sure that all those who were in the waiting room are joining now. I see the number of attendees increasing on my screen, so let's wait for 2 minutes and then we start. Okay, I think that the number is stabilizing. So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this LiPLANET Conference. So my name is Philippe Jacques. I'm the managing director of EMIRI, one of the organization who is part of the consortium who worked on the setting up of this LiPLANET network since 2 years now. Before we jump in the conference, let me just give you some practical details. I guess now you are used to these practicalities of our online meetings, but so just as a reminder, you will not be able to share your video and neither using the chat, but you have the possibility to drop your question in the Q&A button in the Q&A feature. So don't hesitate to do this. We will try to save a couple of minutes after each presentation so that really the speaker will have the possibility to answer directly your questions. So don't wait for the end of the session really to come with your questions. Don't hesitate to post them as soon as you have. We are going so we are recording this session, and just that you know, you're not surprised, and it will be further disseminated through the classical LiPLANET communication channels on the LiPLANET website in particular. So everything will be visible again for those who would not have been able to join today. So don't hesitate to share this information even for with your colleagues if they would be interested. So we have a very dense agenda for today. Really, what we want to share with you is really in a first part, really what has been done so far, and I will very quickly leave the floor to Professor Quade, who is the coordinator of this LiPLANET project. Then we will have the opportunity to listen from really what are the expectations from the Commission a little bit, why this project was launched, and really what is expected from the Commission side for the upcoming months and years from the LiPLANET network. So Johan Blondel, with the policy officer in charge of batteries in DG RTD, will share his point of view with us. Then we will spend roughly 1 hour to share with you what has been achieved so far. And that's really that was so far it was really the project. Now we are going to turn to the end of the project. We will give the relay to the network, which will now take over. And so the second part of the agenda is really to anticipate a little bit and to share with you what the ambition and what are the upcoming activities that the network is really ambitioning for the future. And then we will finish this session by a panel discussion that I will be happy to moderate, and again with the contribution of Johan Blondel, with Professor Quader, and also from Simon Perrault, who will speak for BEPA and Batteries Europe, Ilka van der Weyck from Inno Energy, which is heavily involved in the EBA, and Patrick Bernard, with the Corporate Research Director of SAFT. I hope this will be interesting, and I directly give you the floor, Arnaud. Please.
Yes, thank you very much, Jacques. I have to
yeah, stop sharing on my side, and please
exactly,
share on your side. Yeah.
No, I will start. Yeah, also from my side, hello together, and I'm very happy that so many people join us today for, let's say, the final presentation of our LiPLANET project. And I think, why do we need such a network of pilot lines? So I think in order to be competitive on the worldwide battery market, we must have a really independent capacity in the European Union. And this capacity is not only to produce cells, but also to develop new technologies and to upscale them. And I think in this regard, our battery cell production pilot lines play a really important role, and especially for the manufacturing process, and also for the equipment suppliers, but also for the new gigafactories which now arise in Europe. And these pilot lines, they will close the gap or bridge the gap between the many material scientists and lab works which has been done in Europe and is still very active in Europe, and the mass production in the big lines and the equipment suppliers' efforts. And that means we have to maximize efficiency in this research and development within Europe. And the pilot line should work closely together and, among others, exchange data, expertise, and access rights, so that, let's say, we have not many parallel roads, that we are working on one main road together to be fast, especially also compared to the world. And I think we started in 2018 to discuss that. And at that time, there was no network or similar like that connecting the different pilot lines. So that was on the DG Research and Innovation Workshop in Brussels in January 2018, where there was a first workshop with the idea that the pilot line should work closely together. And after that, then some matadors, I would say, with Oscar, with Simon, with Michael and me, we then organized another workshop in Frankfurt, where we really set up the ideas of the LiPLANET network, and also worked out some, let's say, concept paper. And based on that and the CSA, which was then prolonged or set up, we could start in January 2020 with this project, which today, or not today, but this month will end. And I think we will hear a lot of the results and also the improvements we have worked out within this project. But also we will hear today something about the network like it is today. So in the project, we started to map all European battery cell pilot lines. And also we discussed with all the pilot lines, or especially also the members of the project, the skill and equipment gaps. And what we will hear today is also we developed in several workshops, because they had to be virtual, unfortunately. roadmap, which will be given, or I think more insight will be given by Roman later. Then we also promote mutual data and knowledge exchange between network members, also set up some, let's say, legal papers. We also provide training materials, also produce, let's say, first training videos, but I think that will be going on and much more in the future. The standardized legal framework I talked about, network activities, some recommendations for the policymakers, and also we will hear today about a round robin test which we worked out and fulfilled here within LiPLANET. And yeah, I think that's one of the main tasks we had within the project. And since May 2021, so almost 1 year, we now have also the real network, let's say, so which is a non-profit association today, which started in May with 7 members, and today we are 11 members, which are shown here. And this network, which we will discuss mainly also in the second half of our workshop today, will be a one-stop shop for the development, knowledge transfer, training, and standardization for sustainable batteries and manufacturing technology. So standardization means, for example, also how to operate a certain process in the best way, and also maybe safety issues and so on are under standardization. Now we are a sustainable, I think, non-profit association, and with benefit for all stakeholders, and we are open for all lines which have at least a part of the production in pilot scale. We work in coordination with existing initiatives, I think BIPA, for example, and this on national and European level. I think we start together with the advisory board, but I think in the future more and more to work closely together with the industry, also inside of projects, what is planned. And also we want to intensify the output of European projects by accelerating knowledge and technology transfer. And that is the status today. 11 pilot plants or lines are members. I think we will get more members. We changed some let's say, legal papers, which were a little bit problematic for some who wanted to join, but so I guess we will grow until up to 15 in the near future. Okay, that was my short statement, and I think now we are in time to go over to Johan, but I think Philip will say that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Arno, for this general introduction and really reminding a little bit all the genesis of this project. So indeed, now what we would like is to have the point of view of the Commission. So Johan, so I don't think I need to introduce you too much, because you are known comme le loup gris, we say in French. So you are really well known from all the stakeholders who are active on the battery arena landscape in Europe, and that's really not a criticism. On the opposite, it's really highly appreciated your support from your side and on the partnership in Batteries Europe and all the different initiatives. And well, thank you very much for being with us today, Johan. So please, if you can share your screen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Philippe, for these kind, warm words. It's just a pity that we cannot be together to have the physical meeting. I hope you can see my screen all right. So I will just start by kicking in a few open doors, because I think you know the story already. So just to take one step back, building on what Professor Quada has already introduced. In Europe, you probably know the concept of the Green Deal that was introduced by President von der Leyen. So the aim is to have no net emissions of greenhouse gases by 2050. And as you can see in the circle, this really points back to sustainable transport, climate neutrality, and clean, reliable, and affordable energy. So all of these aspects really provide hooks for batteries. The clean, reliable, and affordable energy will depend heavily on battery storage in order to allow us to integrate renewables into the network. And the same goes for the sustainable transport. Without batteries, that's absolutely a no-go. As a follow-up to the Green Deal, there was then the Fit for 55 package that was introduced in 2021, which just sharpens a little bit the ambitions. So by 2030, we are aiming for at least 55% net emission reduction. Here as well, you see in this mosaic that there are many different aspects and areas that will be covered. And again, they provide very significant hooks for the use of batteries. So when we look at the market situation, this all implies that we will have a massive need for batteries on a global scale. On the left, you see the increase in the global battery demand by application. So as you can see, in the light gray segment is the transport aspect, and this is going to remain the biggest by far. And you see here in the bubble, the percentual growth rate per year. So 26% per year growth is predicted for that segment. However, even though the market is smaller, the growth will be a lot bigger for energy storage, so stationary applications. And then, of course, consumer electronics will also continue to grow, but at a more steady pace. Now, this 14-fold prediction is on conservative side, because other predictions go up to 18, even 19 times multiplication between 2018 and 2030 in terms of battery requirements. To the right, you see the ambitions of Europe. So now we are a player on the market, but lagging behind the major players. But from 2025 onwards, the ambition of Europe is to become the second player worldwide. So in order to achieve these targets, we will need a lot of factories. And this is a slightly older graph, but still it shows you the global picture in Europe. And it illustrates that a lot of investment is going to take place in terms of establishment of gigafactories all over Europe. Now, of course, in order to reach that target, we will need a lot of research, a lot of collaboration, and a lot of support for the starting enterprises. So for that reason, the European Battery Alliance has been set up, and as part of this Battery Alliance, we also created a partnership, which is called Bat4U, that you can see here. It is a partnership established in 2021, running up to 2030, and it has an EU contribution, so in cash, of 925 million euros, the biggest package allocated to battery research so far. And this is to be matched in kind by the private side. And the private side in this partnership is BEPA, the Batteries European Partnership Association that you all know, of course. Now, just to recap, this is the scope of activities of the partnership. So you see it covers the entire value chain, going from raw materials to end of life, but there is particular emphasis on advanced materials and cells. This is really in the core of the partnership. And it is specifically there that we expect a lot from LiPLANET, and to really help confederate the landscape and provide support for all the starting pilot lines. Now, this graph here shows you a bit the batteries landscape as it is today. So it's quite complex. And you see in the center here, we have the partnership on the batteries. It interfaces to the left with a number of initiatives. You see Batteries Europe, which is the technology and innovation platform that provides input for the strategic research and innovation agenda, roadmaps, and so on. We also have Battery 2030 Plus and interfaces with other technology and innovation platforms. Then towards the top, we have collaborations with other partnerships, but other activities, including IPCIs, the important projects of common European interest. And then the aim is to establish really a pipeline, an investment pipeline going from low TRL to mid TRL to high TRL, and then reaching at the market. And that is where you see the other support mechanisms in the Innovation Fund, the links to the European Investment Bank, and of course, the highly valued support of InnoEnergy and EIT raw materials that help bring small companies to growth to the market. So roughly speaking, this is from low TRL up to high TRL. And ideally, we would like to see LiPLANET take a place in the left-hand part of the graph there. So providing input to the partnerships and then benefiting from feedback from the partnership as well. So maybe just briefly to present my personal view on what the future role of LiPLANET could be. Well, in terms of tasks, I think there will be hardly any discussion about what we would expect. So knowledge management is really at the core of what we would like to see LiPLANET continue to do in order to help kickstart the new production lines, the new gigafactories that you see is going to be booming business over the years. Doing that by providing information on the lessons learned to help others avoid errors, and so jointly to bring Europe quickly up to a competitive position. A very important role there as well would be in the continuous benchmarking, so that everyone is speaking the same language and that we have a common standard in order to compare the output from one gigafactory to the other, so that we can guarantee also the quality, the performance, the safety also of all the cells that are being produced across Europe. And then finally, input on skills and education needs, and a role also to play in terms of standardization needs. So again, like I say, this was in your initial task description, and there's hardly any surprises there. Where it becomes a little bit more challenging, I think, for you to find your way as a network for the future, is to work out a business model. So really to think about which services can you deliver to the sector, to all the European players, and what can you offer as an incentive to provide well, to those parties interested to become a member. So really, what is the added value of LiPLANET? It needs to be more than purely a network, more than just a talking group. It needs to really deliver an added value, I think. And then probably equally challenging is going to be to find a good place in the battery ecosystem. You saw the map that I showed, which is already quite complex. So fitting another building block in there is going to be tricky. And it will be difficult to avoid duplication. For instance, when I talk about input on skills and the education needs and the standardization, these are tasks for which we already in the partnership are going to rely on the technology and innovation platform Batteries Europe. So there is no point in duplicating that effort. The things will have to be streamlined, and I think that LiPLANET will need to find a channel in order to provide this input to the technology and innovation platform. And then the biggest challenge, and that I would like to put to all of you, is really to put LiPLANET on the map, to make yourselves incontournable, so to speak, so that when you think networks, when someone is starting up a new pilot line, that immediately the reflex is there. Okay, we have LiPLANET, we need to talk to them, figure out how best to get everything up and running, and try to avoid the errors that have been made elsewhere. And of course, in a highly competitive market, this is going to be challenging, but I'm confident that you are going to find your way in this competitive sector. So this concludes my very brief personal and commission view on the role and the positioning for the future of LiPLANET. And here you have the contact information for the partnership in case you didn't have it yet. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Johan. I think it was really well. Thank you very much for this frank thoughts, I would say, because I think it's helpful to indeed to point out what are the challenges and what still remains also to be achieved, and indeed this finding a place in this quite crowded ecosystem is something that is something to consider, of course, and developing this business model. But I'm sure that we will have the opportunity to further elaborate on that during the panel discussion later this afternoon. So thank you very much for staying with us for this. And I would like now to, so we will now going to enter into really the very detailed reporting on what has been achieved so far. And one of the big task that was under the responsibility of the project was really to deliver on a strategic roadmap. This was led by VDI VDE, who was one of the partners in the project, and more specifically in VDI VDE, the one who was really the key the key person managing this difficult task was Roman Korzinits. Sorry, Roman, I'm not sure I pronounce your name correctly, but the floor is yours. So please, if you can share your screen.
Thank you, Philippe. When we prepared the LiPLANET project, industrial battery cell production from Europe was practically non-existing, as Jon already mentioned. Now, only 3 years later, a multitude of industry projects are under development, construction, or ramp up. In 2030, every third battery cell can be produced in Europe. So the role of Roman, I know. I'm going to share it in a second.
Okay, maybe if you allow me, just because I wanted to remind everybody that please don't hesitate to drop your question in the Q&A. There was none for the previous speaker, but if you have questions, please pose them. Sorry.
Yeah, please. So the role of the pilot lines was never more important than now. With the help of this roadmap we developed, I hope you to learn how the LiPLANET network can support you, why we need to work together, and what the next steps will be. So following up on Arne's and Johan's presentations, I will start with the benefits for the different stakeholders and the unique value of the network, continue with the milestones towards the realization of the LiPLANET vision, which Arne already presented, and introduce the enabling structure of the roadmap with the key factors, which are the critical paths on the road. So let's have a look at the benefit. Let's have a look at the different stakeholders of the battery ecosystem. Academia. Academia can benefit from independent testing, small-scale production, training, knowledge exchange, etc., etc. Industry. The pilot lines are accelerators for the cell and equipment technology, work versatile and flexible. The network supports developments of standards and provides certified quality. But the network and the pilot lines can also be a key element to support the ramp up of the production lines under construction. And obviously, the network will play a key role in training and education of the staff, which is one of the main challenges. For the pilot lines themselves, the networks can strengthen the pilot lines. It creates a community with synergies, knowledge exchange, and joint opportunities for negotiations, purchases, and new business models. And for Europe, a competitive, sustainable, and resilient battery ecosystem in Europe. Or to sum it up, LiPLANET empowers development and upscaling of innovative, sustainable, and competitive lithium battery cells and process equipment in Europe. But there are also challenges. Those can only be overcome by a strong collaboration of the different stakeholders. First, lack of staff, not only in the industry, but also in the pilot lines. Second, financing for equipment, but also for training capacities for the pilot lines to become a stronger piece in the education part. Third, the knowledge exchange. The pilot lines still see each other as competitors and not as mutual collaborators. So how do we continue with this? We developed the roadmap with a focus on the vision and on the status quo. And we developed 3 milestones to make sure we don't lose track. First of all, until 2023, a support through teamwork with the other initiatives where each piece of the puzzle plays its certain role for efficient collaboration, exploitation of synergies, and experience of the pilot lines, to be a bridge between academia and industry, and to increase the learning curve in the network and in the ecosystem. Second, to become a lighthouse for services, for scientific advice, focusing on circular economy, on digitization, and digitization, and to work on the next generation technology. And third, until 2030, to become a pillar of the European battery ecosystem for the continuous innovation and optimization of industrial scale battery cell production. So then the entire services of the LiPLANET network are available, and a strong connection between all members and stakeholders is created. For this, let's have a look at the enabling structure. All the actions we identified in the roadmap are structured along the 6 key factors you can see on the screen: network and synergies, technology, data exchange, knowledge exchange, education and training, and certification and standardization. These are the crucial paths for the development of the network. The actions also aim at tangible targets in each of the 3 milestones. Network and synergies. We have here the focus is on steering, on promoting the network and connecting the network, on letting the network grow, attracting new pilot lines, and collaborations with other initiatives. So to say it in a different way, holding everything together. Technology, as already mentioned, innovative, upscaling, and focus on sustainability, digitalization, circularity, performance, safety. This is where most of the expert groups, which were mentioned before by Arno, are active. Data exchange. An efficient exchange of data and information is key. It is this interoperability and usage of FAIR principles and data formats which are necessary to come forward. Knowledge exchange. This is as the essential part of the networks. The establishment of the expert groups was the first important step. Now we are preparing guidelines, best practices, also sharing bad practices, focusing on open science, and further developing the websites and the services we can provide there. Education and training. There are exchange programs between pilot line operators, vocational training for staff and students, and the collaboration with battery academia and other initiatives is key here. And certification and standardization. Standards which are widely used as certification of the LiPLANET tested cells and equipment with a LiPLANET seal. All this is focused under this key factor. So the members of the network will follow up on this task. You see it on the left, the pilot lines, the expert groups, the executive board, and obviously all externals working together on these key factors. This structure will provide guidance and orientation to follow up on the actions. And to show you that there's not only on screen, for each of these key factors, we have a long list of actions divided by the milestones. So these are the different roadmap components for each key factor. So in summary, there are benefits for all stakeholders of the European battery ecosystem, and LiPLANET is playing a particular role, bringing it all together and bridging it. There are challenges, particular open knowledge exchange, the financing, also staff, which have to be overcome by working together. The structure is created based on 3 milestones and 6 key factors to follow up and to not lose guidance and track on the way towards the LiPLANET vision. On the left, you can see the front page of the LiPLANET roadmap. It will be published until end of March, and you will be informed by the usual channels over the newsletter, LinkedIn, etc. So, how can we work together? Academia and the other initiatives participate, join the discussions, exchange knowledge. Industry, trust in the pilot lines, invite them to be part of construction, part of the ramp up of your lines, and join with the industrial pilot lines, the LiPLANET network. The pilot lines themselves, stop seeing each other as competitors, see it as a collaboration with mutual benefits. And for authorities, continue the support you're giving and to bringing all the dots together. So this network will be an important part of the puzzle to reach a sustainable and resilient European battery ecosystem. The more we collaborate, the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Conrad. I think it was a challenge really to present this very impressive work in just 10 or 12 minutes. You succeeded to do it. At least I hope to attract the interest of the attendees, and indeed I think we are curious to see the final roadmap published in the coming weeks. You mentioned collaboration, exchange of knowledge. I think they are really 2 of the cornerstones of this network. There was a question that came into the system while you were presenting. Maybe it's more a question to be which is addressed to Arnaud than to you, but maybe you can try a first answer. It's coming from Markus Schweizer Berberich, and the question is if there is a central point of contact with transfer requests to the right partner pilot line, so that pilot lines are no more in competition but really partners, because a neutral entry entity distribute the request works to the partner. So the idea is really LiPLANET, some kind of a one-stop shop, which really will distribute the request from external stakeholders to the most appropriate pilot light or not.
Should I answer first, maybe?
Yeah, maybe Arno. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's the idea, that we have a list, let's say, of the competencies of our pilot lines, and that we provide, the information which pilot lines could be the right ones for this question to him. This will be not only one, so we will be neutral, and that will be done then by the LiPLANET office, let's say, which is in the moment in Braunschweig. But that's exactly the idea, that we have a list of the main capabilities and main knowledge of the line, so that we can at least give a hint which ones should be contacted.
Yeah, exactly. Also, more components of the individual capacities of each pilot line will be published on the LiPLANET. So LiPLANET website will continue to grow, and this will be the contact point. It's also stated as one of the targets for the milestone in 2023. So when you have a look at the roadmap, you'll see it as well.
Thank you very much, Roman.
Thank you.
So I think we are perfectly on time. We're even 2 minutes ahead of schedule, so we can now move to the next talk that will be given by Konrad Benzug from TUB, from Braunschweig University. So Konrad is one of the let's say key stakeholders in LiPLANET. He's the scientific coordinator for the project, and he has been the one implementing and really managing the setting up of the expert groups, which are really aiming to deal and to organize this transfer of knowledge. So Konrad, please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you also for the kind introduction, Philippe. Welcome also from my side. My name is Konrad Benzug. I work at the Institute of Particle Technology for the Technical University of Braunschweig, Germany. And as mentioned, I would like to tell you today a little bit about the LiPLANET expert groups. So as many maybe know, within the LiPLANET project and now network, we have set up 6 expert groups, which you can see there. Let me go through them real quick. We've got safety and pilot line operations, production technology and sustainability, digitalization, measurement methods and quality, education and training, cell design and recyclability, and scientific exchange and round robin. However, I don't want to go too much into detail about the work that has been done in the individual groups. For one, because we've got 6 of them and that would take up too much time. And for a second, we've got Mr. Alejandro Franco speak to us later today, who is the chair of one of those groups. So then you might actually learn a little bit more insight about how the work in such a group can look like. So what I want to do today is give you a little bit my impression how the expert groups came into being, about their growth, their challenges, what they are doing today, and also very importantly, what will be their future outlook, what we expect them to do in the future. So maybe let's have a quick look back at what has happened so far. So about the definition of the group, that dates back to 2020, the first year of the LiPLANET project, where we thought about how we could represent all aspects of the battery production cycle within different expert groups. So we came up with these 6 groups, not entirely allocated along the process chain. For example, scientific exchange can't be allocated to an individual process step, but really trying to encompass all the aspects that there are. These groups were firstly presented to the public in February 2021 in an open LiPLANET workshop where we asked for any interested stakeholders to join the pilot lines. And within 2 months, we've collected experts and did kickoff workshops in April 2021 for all the 6 groups, where we've gathered everyone, collected ideas on what to really tackle within these groups, where we found regular meeting dates for these groups and already assigned chairs to take care of these meetings, steer the group in certain directions, to really lead it. And ever since then, these groups have continuously met, continuously working, continuously growing, and so on and so forth. But maybe I should put this a little bit into perspective and really tell you, what this expert group means to us, what really is the concept, what they really are, what they're doing right now. So I put some points together, but I try to talk freely to you what I think. So maybe first of all, the expert groups are, as the name indicates, groups of experts that come together on a regular basis. These experts can come from member pilot lines, from science and industry, but also from other stakeholders. So the expert groups are open to material producers, machinery producers, anyone from testing facilities, well, basically all the stakeholders that are relevant to the battery cell. They come together on a regular basis, and these groups are then the main discussion platform of the LiPLANET network. These groups then discuss new findings and exchange knowledge, for example, through presentations on current papers, really to accelerate the knowledge transfer within these groups and thus within a specific aspect of the battery production landscape. But that is not all of it. So it's not only a presentation and discussing. What is also very important is the standardization aspect. So there will be the collection of best practices that are already established in some facilities. And we will try to really bring them into standards. For example, how to safely operate a pilot line, how to do reproducible testing results so that multiple facilities can work together more easily. And these results, we'll try to bring them together in sort of white papers that we will then publish on the LiPLANET website. And these papers will then be really a starting point for standardization, and maybe will gain traction and really become the standard. We're already working on 2 different white papers in such a way, and maybe we will learn later today in another talk a little bit more detail about one of those. So as I said, these 6 expert groups meet on a regular basis, led by their expert group chairs, but once a month, by the way, for an hour. But in order to ensure the exchange between the expert groups, we have also set up a regular meeting between the chairs of the individual groups so that they know what is going on within the other groups. Maybe they do need help, or in order to already spot possible collaborations to really bring them together. What I wanted to show you here, basically the house of the LiPLANET expert groups, is more or less a summary of what I just said. Well, below you find the different expert groups, and above roughly what their actions are, what they are doing. As I said, the collection of best practices to implement them as standards, to exchange knowledge, and thus also information materials, to spot what others have been doing right, what others have been doing wrong, in order to avoid doing the same mistake multiple times. So I think that is actually a core value of this coming together. So, and also the benchmarking and comparison goes hand in hand with the standardization, what I mentioned. Yes, that is approximately what is going on today. But what is also important about the outlook of the future. So as Roman already mentioned in his talk about the roadmap, we have goals in mind where we need the help of the expert groups to fulfill them. So for example, the roadmap presented might be updated in time and enriched by the expert groups who will add their ideas with their respective topics in mind, but also the overall goal of the expert groups to really bring in more perspectives to these expert groups. As I said, we want the white papers to be published on a regular basis on our website. We want to further expand the exchange between the expert groups, of course, and we want the groups to grow, maybe to form subgroups, which is already happening in some cases because the groups are, let's say, too large to do everything in a monthly meeting. So multiple meetings are needed. We want to extend on the networking aspect, which is obviously when experts come together, there will be networking, not only within this group, but from different groups together. Okay. So I've talked a lot about the benefits that the groups can offer to the battery landscape, but we don't need to forget that there's already also a lot of benefits to offer for the expert group members themselves. As mentioned before, obviously the networking aspect to get to know other people, to learn what they are doing within the groups. And also, since many stakeholders concerning with the same goals in mind are coming together, this is a perfect opportunity for writing proposals together. Since for many proposals, there's a need for multiple organizations coming together. This is the perfect place to do that. Joint work on publications, not only the white papers, which are already going on, but maybe real like peer-reviewed publications would be a good starting point within these groups. And also what we will also learn about later today, the training aspect. Within the LiPLANET project, there have been trainings established, developed to train staff and personnel of the pilot lines, but also in future trainings, the expert groups will bring in their knowledge and thus also receive. Yes. That was basically most of what I wanted to say about the expert groups, what they are currently doing, what we envision for them to do in the future. But now, since I'm here, I would also like to take the chance to show you the chairs that are working with us, and also, to give special thanks to them, because without them, all of this wouldn't have been possible. So for the group of safety and pipeline operations, we've got Dr. Alice Hoffmann. For production technology and sustainability, we've got Dr. Felipe Cerdas. For digitalization, measurement method and quality, we've got Mr. Alejandro Franco. For education and training, we had until March 2020, Mr. Jan Verwetten, who can sadly no longer participate in this group. We thank him for his effort nonetheless. We've got Mr. Rajapandyan Rajagopal for cell design and recyclability. And our previous speaker, Mr. Roman Kozinets, is also the chair for the expert group scientific exchange and round robin. So I hope I've given you some sort of overview about the groups. If you are interested to learn more what is going on directly within these groups, please feel free to contact me or contact us at info@liplanet.eu. Or if you want to join one or more groups, just write us and I might answer you or direct you to their respective chairs. Yeah, and that was it from my side. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Konrad. I think it was very clear. Maybe one question from my side: for who is invited to join? Is it restricted to the members of the network now, or are you also including in your expert groups some advisors or experts which are not directly member of the LiPLANET network?
It's the latter. We're not only restricted to members of the pilot lines, because, for example, a machinery producer also has a lot of valuable things to add to the pilot lines, so the expert groups, so it is good to invite them. So yeah, it is basically open to anyone who really has something to offer and is willing to share. Got that right.
I also think that the expert groups are a really good exchange platform, let's say, you know, between the pilot lines and other stakeholders. So I think we also have, I wouldn't say a lot, but I think a higher number of people from, for example, machine suppliers, who wants to learn, you know, also within the expert groups. I think that's something also what was gained, that, you know, by the LiPLANET network, we have some knowledge increase also in companies maybe which are now starting up, you know, the battery field.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Arnaud, for complementing, and thanks again, Konrad, for that very clear presentation. So next speaker will be Katja Fröhlich. Katja is part of the working at the Austrian Institute of Technology, the senior research engineer in the field of electric vehicle technologies. So she's part of the Center for Low Emission Transport. And Katja was more particularly coordinating all the activities of the LiPLANET project on the round robin test activities. So Katja, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I just want to say that we at AIT, we are especially proud to be also a funding member and also member of the executive board of the LiPLANET network. And therefore, it's my pleasure today to present to you all what has been done towards the process standardization of the cell production. Within the round robin test, of course. As you already know, we were thinking in the LiPLANET network how we can support the market access of the European battery cell production, and how can we strengthen the European position. And we thought that most of the things where we can really contribute or we can really strengthen the position is in terms of quality, and also in terms of sustainability. And that's the quality term is exactly what I will tackle today with the round robin test, is how we can ensure and also retain high quality in the cell production that we are able to deliver. And also how we can define the different processes and also standardize, especially that older the production lines are different, maybe have different capabilities, how we can really enable some kind of protocol that is applicable to different kind of sizes. If we look at the definition of a round robin test and what it really means, it's a basic method for determination of repeatability, reproducibility, but we thought, like, how can we really transfer that? How can it be transferred to in terms of cell production? Which of the process parameters are more critical, which are maybe less critical, and which tolerances are we going to set ourselves? And what was also very important for the intending pilot line, also how can we really share in the end, and how I will present today, for example, how can we really share with the community all the data that was generated in a not competitive basis? For example, if we have a look at the different processes and production steps, starting from material inspection down to the formation of the final cell, we have many different steps. So along these steps, there are many parameters that we have to consider. If we think about the slurry mixing, for example, we have different compositions, also which kind of active materials are we actually using for the round robin test was a question, of course, raised at the very beginning. How must the viscosity be? This is something that also depends from line to line, of course. How must the solid content be, and also how fast the mixing will be, and how the diluting steps, for example, will be conducted. If you look at the stacking, also if there is some kind of possibility to check the alignment with sensors, is it integrated in every line or not? How can we check for the thicknesses? But also regarding the separator, for example, if we think about set folding or if we think about single sheet stacking, there are different parameters that are applied there. Also, the electrolyte filling, of course, plays an important role. Some electrolyte filling processes are taking air on the argon or on the nitrogen atmosphere. Some are doing the electrolyte filling process in the dry room conditions. So we were raising this point in a webinar that we were having in 1st of July, and also asked the audience. It was, I think, approximately the same size of audience that we are now at the moment. And the answer of this live survey that we have conducted was most of the people saw that, especially in the formation of the production processes, is quite critical if you compare it with all of the others, like filling, stacking, also quite important, but the formation was really one of the answers that we have received more than all of the others. So how did we define then the process and also target parameters for ourselves? We thought that, for example, the viscosity, as already mentioned, that's something that differs from line to line, also depends on the application of the slurry to the coat the line. If I'm using a comma bar, for example, or slot die, there are different, there is different, like really specific values. So we decided to take here some kind of percentage from that must be in the tolerance from batch to batch below 5%. We have checked also for the coating, the thicknesses. We decided to go below 3 micrometers, after calendaring below 1 micrometer. And for the stack, for example, because it's rather difficult to determine the alignment from the cell, we decided to go for thickness determinations to determine this production step and go here through determine here the quality of the stacking itself. For the cell specifications, we set ourselves a tolerance for the resistance that is within 10%. There we made a pulse. We made a pulse for 10 seconds at C/3. For the normalized capacity after 200 cycles, we have also some cells that we have cycled. We decided to go to 92% compared to the first cycle. And first cycle irreversible capacity, we will have below 15%. So regarding the materials that we have decided on, we thought, like, of course, we want to go for a non-competitive basis, so we will use standard standard protocols, being aware that that might not be top of the top, but we have decided that we go for NMC 622 cathode material. And anode, we're using artificial graphite from Targray. We have also made some decision regarding the batches. For example, it was very important to us that the active materials and also the electrolytes were all obtained from the same batches, which is very important to really then compare the results that we have received. So this was all ordered from distributed to the attending lines. So it's a 62 from BASF with 95%, and we have 94.5% of the graphite. The anode coating was done in a water-based slurry formulation, while the cathode is still stick to the NMP-based one. For the protocol of the cycling, we have decided that we will generally use a voltage range between 2.8 and 4.2 volts. We had 24 hours rest between the electrolyte filling and the start of the formation. For the formation, we have agreed on 2 cycles at C/20 with the CV phase during charging down to C/40, and we had 15 minutes rest. And after the formation and the degassing, we did some capacity determination at C/3 in the 3rd discharge cycle. And then also the rest and the resistance determination with the 10 seconds pulse starting at 3.6 volts. We also thought about how we can really compare the results. Should we go, for example, for a specific cell capacity that everybody has to reach, or but in the end we thought it might be more significant or more interesting to go for a specific number of cathodes, and then check and which then results, of course, depending on the line and the sizes of the electrodes and cell sizes in general, results in different total capacity, cell capacity. And we have done 10 pouch and or also 18 650 cells for each batch. So we have also determined not only the cell capacity, but because we have also recorded, for example, here the viscosity, and which I have now put here in comparison to the slurry solid content. Not surprisingly, there is quite a strong correlation, and it's also, of course, that was also a reason why we did not really give a specific number for the viscosities, but rather a kind of a tolerance that should be within from batch to batch, because it depends on the coating line and the system that is applied. If we compare, another thing that could be compared would be, for example, the electrolyte, the amount of electrolyte in milligram per square centimeter cathode active area, which I here now set in comparison to first cycle loss, for example, for the different pilot lines, which is more or less still in the range, and also the compacting rate or porosity for anode and cathode compared to the first cycle efficiency. If we see, have a look here, for example, for the higher compacted, we had a bit of a lower first cycle efficiency. If we compare that values here. If we check from line to line, the irreversible capacities in comparison from stack to stack, but here also to 18650 cells, we can see that we are all around in the range between 10 and 15, with some little outliers here for in terms of percentage for the first cycle, and for the second cycle that you can see here in green, we are more or less in the range of 5%, or nearly all of them are below, quite below compared to each other. If we have a look at the real capacities or aerial capacities in that case that we have checked in the third discharge cycle at C/3, we can see that all of the lines are really very similar, so very similar values. So we have a really high reproducibility between also here between the lines, and which is of course also a lot related to what we saw from the loadings that we have here. Really all of the loadings of the cathode in this case, where we were agreed on the loading of 17.9 milligram per square centimeter. We have reached this target within ±5% tolerance. If we have a look now at the anodes, when we decided to go for 10.6 milligram per square centimeter, we have also reached our target within the ±5% tolerance. Then we have decided, of course, now that we have determined the capacities of so many cells, at least that each and every line keeps some of the cells for longer term cycling. So we were cycling at C/2 and made every 10th cycle a 1C cycle. And what can be seen here is also that the reproducibility actually from line to line, we have here plotted 3 different lines, is really very high. The difference that you can see here at the 1C cycles arrays, of course, due to the difference in the overall cell capacity and cell size, at arrays from different, of course, thermal behavior related to that. So with that, I'm finished with presenting you the round robin results, and I hope that many other research pilot lines will join. And also I'm very happy to answer your questions, if any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katja. So we have one question that just came in the Q&A feature. So coming from David Deiter. Is there a specific reason to use Celgard dry separator? Is it also planned to consider wet separators?
Yeah, in that case, it was just some standard separator that we decided for. I know that some of the lines have already had the need to use laminated ones, for example, and have applied those. So I think the round robin protocol and the deliverable regarding the evaluation will be published soon, so you can have a look, but it's something that is also evolving, of course, all of the time. So I think we will change the protocol from iteration to iteration. I think is something that is like a living document, so to say, the protocol itself.
And there is another question coming now from Ari Gary. Sorry, guys, if I really destructing your names, but I'll try to do my best. So the question is the following: How easy will it be to customize each component of the cell build, which means different electrolytes, foil separators?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Customize, okay. I mean, it's difficult. Yeah, I think for this protocol, we have used all the same materials. So I think once if you change one component, depending on which kind of component, might be more tricky for electrolytes compared to I don't know, pouch foils, for example, depending on the application. I think. Of course, the protocol should be adjusted if you change one or the other component. Depending on the component, the adjustment must be more in-depth, or different trials must be done at smaller scale first. As we have done it in the project as well. We have started in smaller scale to develop the protocol and then distributed it to the other labs.
And so just also for, maybe you mentioned this, but I didn't catch it. Are you planning to reconduct this kind of round robin campaign in the future, possibly with other types of cells or different chemistries or different electrolytes?
Yes. We have discussed this also once in the expert group, how we will do it, if all the lines maybe do this all of the time, or maybe just one of the lines that I've already conducted with the new attending lines. So this will be a point that we will do with the new lines that have just like joined the network, for example, to redo the protocol together with maybe one line, for example, of the already existing ones.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think we have other questions for the time being. Thank you very much, Katja, for this work, which I think was not so easy to conduct and to coordinate. So I think you did it great. Arno,
thank you.
I would like now to give you the floor back for a last presentation before we go for a short coffee break. So now we are, let's say, over with the first part of the presentation that was more about what has been achieved so far, and we would like now to let you introduce how indeed the transition will be organized from the project to the network. So one last presentation, and then we have a 15 minutes break before we continue with this aspect of what is expected from the network. So Arno, please, the floor is yours again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Philipp. And I think some of the points I already mentioned at the beginning with my introduction, but I think it's really important to understand that there was this LiPLANET project, or is still the LiPLANET project until end of this month. And but besides that, we already introduced and set up the network. And to explain that again, so we have this LiPLANET project, with the partners written down here. So ABBE, so CEI Tech, then IMARI with Philipp, Technical University Braunschweig, that's where I'm coming from, then the Austrian Institute of Technology, the CDTech, InnoEnergy, and the VDI, VDE, IT. And that has been the consortium, or is the consortium of the project, which has set up, for example, this round robin test, which organized the expert groups, set up the roadmap, and so on. And this was within this coordination and support action, which was funded under the Horizon 2020 work program. And as I said, this will end this month. But as I said already at the beginning, we started in May the real network, let's say, so which is open for other members, or especially designed for other members than only the ones who have been in the project, especially other pilot lines. And this should then be really a one-stop shop for the development of sustainable battery and especially the manufacturing technologies. And today it's a non-profit organization, so an association according to the German law, which operates with a sustainable and non-profit business model. And what we want to do is really bringing together the pilot lines, setting standards, and for sure bringing forward the industry in Europe. And what we found, at least also in Germany, and I think we really had this feeling also within the project, that if such pilot lines work together, that we really learn from each other, and that this brings a lot of effort and advantages for the future. And it's very important to get in, let's say, some open mind, and not, you know, that you don't tell everything or some others what you know. I mean, maybe you don't think or don't tell the last result, which maybe has you will bring it to the patent, or you will write a Nature paper on that. But I think it's also important to tell about the normal operation of such pilot lines and how to get really good products with no scrape and so on. So what we have fulfilled or have done in the project, I think that's a summary of what you heard already. So we set up this expert groups, and we will have heard we will hear a statement later on that too. And I think these expert groups are also really an important element of the network, because in this expert groups we have a lot of knowledge exchange, and also we will provide, let's say, state-of-the-art white papers, which then can be used especially by the industry, but also by other pilot lines, which are now developed and which need help. Then you have seen the round robin experiments, which Katja showed, and I think that's very good. So to set up, you know, the standard also for new lines, so to see if you are in the same range where the others are. Then this legal documents, it's for, you know, founding the association, but also, for example, we have a document regarding the confidentiality if you work together on a certain subject and you want to exchange knowledge which maybe is not open. Then this roadmap which Roman presented, I think this roadmap, he really focused it really nicely on, let's say, 12 minutes, but it's a really long and very powerful, I would say, document with a lot of ideas. And I hope that we really can reach all these goals which we mentioned there or said there. Then regarding training sessions, so we already provide some training session. Unfortunately, due to Corona, we couldn't do them or run them, let's say, on in the pilot lines, but this is something what we will do in the future. And I think that's also a really important element of LiPLANET, that we have really hands-on training in the pilot lines. And this is then with, let's say, common training material which can be used. So we also have a high standard then regarding the training session. And then I think hopefully we can also give more policy visions also for European Commission in the future based on the experience in the pilot lines. when we started the network on the 7th of May last year, so we have been 6 members, which were, let's say, fine with the statutes and the association code at that time. So there were 2 or 3 others, but so there were still some discussions with their legal departments. So that is the battery lab factory in Braunschweig and ZSW, and also in Germany in Ulm. Then the Avesta Battery and Energy Engineering in Belgium, Li10 CEA in France, the CIC Energy in Spain, the CDTech Energy Storage in Spain, and the Austrian Institute of Technology. So that have been the first founding members, but really shortly later, so we were growing. I will show it to you later. And in this founding conference, let's say, we also decided about the executive board, and these are the people you can contact if you want to know more about the LiPLANET network. So beside me, it's Simon Perot, who will be also in the panel later on. Then Esther Belitz Crespo, who is coming also from CIC, then Markus Jahn from the AIT, and it's Rahul Gopalas Krishan from ABEE. So all of them will be open for you to take up questions and give you answers and help how to proceed to come, let's say, not only in contact with LiPLANET members, but also maybe to work within LiPLANET. And what is important is that underneath we have the PLANET lines and the expert groups. And what is, I think, an important element is also the external advisory board. However, I think during the project, we also only, let's say, contacted them a lot regarding the roadmap, but I hope that it will be more in the future. I think several people of the companies from the external advisory board are also in the expert groups, so there's a lot of interaction. So this is the external advisory board. When we thought about the external advisory board, we were thinking out of how to, let's say, structure this advisory board, and we thought it would be good to have representatives from different shareholders in Europe, so from material suppliers, machine suppliers, from cell manufacturers, from end users, from digitalization, and also from maybe national or European association, and then from more or less European organizations. And as you see, that's really international. Maybe we have 4 from Germany here. We have 2 from Italy, and we have 2 from Belgium, 1 from Switzerland, 1 from France, and so on. So I don't want to read up all the names, but you see that I think there are a lot of people who are well known in the scene in our external advisory board, and also which have been active, for example, in Batteries Europe, especially in Working Group 4. So what can be the role within the European battery ecosystem? I think we heard about that from Johan already, and I think that will be also something we will discuss later on in the panel. And what I can say that, for example, in the Working Group 4, I think the highly active members in Working Group 4 a lot of them were coming from the LiPLANET network. And so within the network, we were pushing forward our cutting edge topics, let's say, like very sustainable process technologies. And also what we want to do is having a continuous benchmarking of technologies, but also, let's say, of the line. So if the technology goes on and the materials change, that we will stay on top with our member lines. That we have a high quality training program, so not only for the members, but also for industry. So this is something what we will now organize more and more. But I think also internally, it's something what is important to have hands-on training in the lines. And I think as soon as Corona opens the doors again, then hopefully we can intensify this point. I think then also the pilot lines can really be used to test new equipment, new process machinery before they are introduced into the industrial lines. And I think that's something where all the lines are open to. And this can also be done maybe with 2 or 3 lines together, depending on what is their main topic. Then we want to connect the different pilot lines with different abilities, you know, to solve problems maybe for the industry. So maybe some are more, let's say, for example, experience in dispersing the paste for the coating, and others maybe have much more knowledge in cell assembly and electrolyte filling and so on. And such competencies can also be combined within the LiPLANET network. Then we want to implement best practice recommendation, not only on, let's say, standards and so on by white papers, but also due to maybe conversation with the BIPA and the EU Commission, like Johan. And I think what my really feeling is, or my really not only wish, but my vision for the future is really that by combining all these lines and all this knowledge, that we can really highly accelerate the speed in research and development. Like, you know, I think in Asia, they are, you know, really big research institutions sometimes which work in the battery field. In Europe, we are more, let's say, separated. And I think we have to bring the power together, you know, to get the same speed like the one in Asia. Okay, and speed means also that we have to find our place within the European battery ecosystem, like Johan already said. So we put LiPLANET already here into the map, and because, you know, the association is now founded. And what we want to do is we want to work closely together with others, national and European battery initiatives. For example, we also have for sure to find a way how to work together with Battery 2030 Plus, which have been first really material orientated, but more and more also looking on processes. Also, we offer our hands-on approach at pilot scale. I already said that for training and knowledge exchange. And also we will try, and we want to have also some input in the upcoming EU calls. So bringing together maybe the different stakeholders and players within the projects, but, you know, really concentrating the knowledge and pulling together here in Europe so that we accelerate. So finally, but I will show this slide also later again. So if you want to get some activity or updates on the activities, you can follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. And what is more important, that you maybe sign up for the newsletter in the LiPLANET website, so that we really know that you are there. And we also, like we said before, we will have regularly new publications on the website, written ones, but sometimes also movies. And if you have a pilot line, it don't have to be a full pilot line, maybe a part of it, and other parts are maybe in a smaller scale, for example, then please contact us, take part in our survey, and then you will be asked to come into the LiPLANET network. And also the lines who are coming up in the future should contact us so that we can help them setting up their pilot lines. And as we said, the expert groups are really nice knowledge exchange platforms, and please join us in the expert groups. And that's for now. And I will give back to Philippe, who I guess will start more or less the coffee break. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. So yeah, maybe one question from my side, Arno, before we go for the coffee break. So LiPLANET was very much focused on lithium-ion technologies. do you anticipate or ambition to broaden the scope in the type of really chemistries and technology that you would like to embed into this LiPLANET network?
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, the CSA call was really focused on lithium-ion batteries, and also when finding the name, we already said we are lithium battery pilot line, so that we open it also to solid-state batteries, for example, because I think that should be a fluent technology change, and also, you know, having a look on which technologies, which process technologies can be used also maybe from today lithium-ion battery to in the future maybe solid-state batteries is a very important task also for the pilot lines. So that's the reason why we are really not only focused on lithium-ion batteries, we are also looking for new technologies, next generations, and so on.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So we will stop now for a quarter, and so you can stay connected, no problem. But please grab a coffee or have a walk maybe outside for those like in Belgium who enjoy a great sunny weather. So refresh yourself, and we talk again in at a quarter to 4. See you.
See you.
Okay, I think it's nearly 3:45. I see, Stefano, you are in the starting blocks, really ready to start. So, let me first introduce maybe the second part of this workshop. So what we would like to do now is first to open the floor and to give the opportunity to some external stakeholders, to the core team of the LiPLANET project, really to share the expectations and really what are the benefits that they see from an initiative like LiPLANET, and also really more importantly, what are the expectations and really what they are looking at LiPLANET to contribute to. So we will have the opportunity to listen to Stefano, who will speak from the point of view of the equipment manufacturers. Then we will have Nicolas Valin from Dassault Systèmes, which is more on the digital solution side. We will have a contribution from Professor Alessandro Franco, who is more on the research aspect on really all these implementations and relying on these digital and modelization tools. And we will terminate these presentations by a contribution from InnoEnergy, from Dimitra Maleka from InnoEnergy, who is really one of the very active players in the field of education on and professional development and trainings for the battery world. And you know that that's indeed a big challenge that we have to tackle. And then we will have half an hour of a panel discussion to conclude this event. So I propose now that we jump back to really to the very next presentation. So you have the topic on appearing on the screen. So Stefano, I don't think I need to introduce more than what I mentioned already. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philippe. Hello and good afternoon, everybody. I really would like to thank Professor Arno Vade and all the participants to LiPLANET Consortium for today's invitation. I will give you a brief contribution to this important coordination and support action initiative under Horizon 2020. I am also honored and proud to be part of this project as external advisory board member. Despite the impossibility, as was said, to meet in the presence due to this pandemic crisis that started almost simultaneously with this LiPLANET initiative, we have been able, and all the team, all the person have been able to create and to make an extraordinary work and create all the progress that have been presented in the previous presentation. I am here presenting. I am really presenting the perspective of a MANS group, that is an engineering machinery company that is from more than 30 years is involved in the development of technology and automation for the production of batteries. MANS, since 2017, actively participate to the various initiatives, European initiatives and platforms to drive the creation of the European supply chain in battery. We strive to orient research and innovation in lithium battery manufacturing to enable large-scale production of battery for electromobility, energy storage, and industrial application. MAN's presence in the European R&I ecosystem start from contribution to the definition of the most relevant R&I topics in the Batteries Europe. Then we contribute to the prioritization of the topic together with the Commission, European Commission, within the Battery Partnership. And finally, last but not least, MANS is quite active within the IPCI project, in particular the second IPCI project on battery, named EUBATIN, where MANS has a role of coordination. Why LiPLANET Consortium play an important role in the European battery ecosystem? First of all, LiPLANET operates covering all the battery manufacturing process aligned with the industrial requirement. Academia and RTO are involved and are the natural place where we can develop and experiment new battery technology and chemistry. As you might see, the process to make battery is quite complex and start from electrode manufacturing, while the cell assembly is probably the most populated in terms of alternative solution driven by the different applications. As we said, the consortium of LiPLANET cover the whole value chain, just from procured advanced raw material, starting from electrode fabrication, mixing, coating, and calendering. Research and research pilot line are mainly able to assemble pouch type battery cell, because these cells are more easy and flexible to be built in R&D level, but they are also a pilot line at the level of LiPLANET that are capable to demonstrate the technology, battery technology, even in the hard case cell and cylindrical and prismatic. How a new cell design is developed in the battery cell industrial environment? What is the process to move from technology development up to the gigascale? The development of a new battery technology or a new cell design, or the combination of these two factors, driven by the OEM KPIs and requirements, is structured in three different types of phase, and different equipment are required. The first phase is what is called R&D phase, that require R&D machine. The second phase is a pilot production phase, and the last one is the mass production. All these technology are divided by type of cell, cylindrical, prismatic, and pouch, and driven by the really request of the market that require all three different types of cell solution for different applications. Clearly, LiPLANET operates at the first level, at the first phase of the battery cell development, that is the research and development. Individual R&D machines are capable to produce small scale battery cell, we can say up to 100 cells per day, as has been defined in the LiPLANET initiative, from 1 to 10 ampere hour, even if the market request is now moving above 10 ampere hours up to 100 and 150 ampere hour. These are used, this machine are used to validate the actual or modified process, enabling standardization of advanced battery technology, but in the laboratory environment. This capability starts from the mixing and coating that typically is capable to produce hundreds of meter, maximum hundreds of meter per day. Which role does LiPLANET play to further support the European battery industry? LiPLANET would complete the build of, as been said, the R&D battery ecosystem, offering open collaboration and accelerate knowledge transfer on the state-of-the-art of battery manufacturing technology, aggregating also new partners. Lines interconnectivity should define solid process data collection, validation, and verification protocols of the most important and critical parameter, using, where is possible, homogeneous metrology methods to avoid the discrepancy in the data transfer. Another important expectation for LiPLANET is to be able to deliver an approval seal, to create a certification and validation of research and development equipment. After the R&D development phase, even at the level of industrial scale, I mean, all the battery cell makers and even the OEM competence center are moving from R&D environment to pilot production. That is the second phase of the development and deployment of a new technology. The pilot production, where multiple tools are interconnected in an aggregated machine with the capability to produce about 1 to 5 cells per minute, not more cells per hour. This is necessary to this level of automation is necessary to assemble battery cell sample and module in a reasonable quantity in production relevant environment, delivering capacity for subsystem to assemble subsystem or system for their final qualification to the OEM. At this level of productivity, data collection and manufacturing production capability, demonstration of production capability are mandatory due to the needs of validate production machine and processes in continuous operation and implementing and controlled by all the industry 4.0 approach and already interconnecting to analyze and control in digital mode all the critical parameters. From pilot production validation, we are capable to scale up the throughput of this pilot production equipment that are then used as a multiple set to populate the gigafactory. The gigafactory are therefore made with multiple production line, not single line, already validated as pilot production line, but with increased throughput and capability. Just to give you a rough idea, for each of these production line is the throughput, expected throughput is about 10 to 15 cell per minute, or 1 gigawatt hour equivalent in terms of capacity based on cell format and size. This is the latest step that is necessary to move from R&D to mass production. The production line are, in this case, are operated in a full digitalized industrial environment, interconnected with the company ERP system, including automatic material handling and full logistic implementation. Now, how we can
2 minutes,
connect,
2 minutes, Stefano.
2 minutes, okay. How we can generate a link between the LiPLANET pilot line and the IPCI that has been presented. Mans participate one of the IPCI of Batin with the project portfolio that represent currently aligned with the LiPLANET expectation, being the scope of Mans based on a technology roadmap with 3 years of research and development phase to develop equipment to fulfill the KPI of the OEM with the objective of being competitive in Europe. For the execution of the IPCI, a new department, Future Battery Technology, has been created inside Mans, specifically for the IPCI project to define the need and structure the lithium battery of the future with the target of creating very high overall efficiency and the factory of the future that is full digitalized. We have a plan to open in an open fab approach where this pilot line they will be installed, and we would like to use a similar approach of LiPLANET to create an open approach in order to generate synergy between all the other stakeholder of the European value chain, including academia and the RTO, that are welcome to create synergy and complementary projects. We would like, and here I will conclude, to keep in mind that the new battery technology to be considered worth and sustainable should demonstrate to be quickly scalable on large scale at the level of, therefore, of gigascale. We are looking forward for long-term collaboration. Don't you? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Stefano. I would like to skip maybe not directly to the next presentation, but we are a bit late on schedule now. The next one will be Nicolas Valin from Dassault Systèmes, who will provide us with his perspective of really what are the benefits from a LiPLANET network from the point of view of an industrial software provider. Nicolas, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philip, and I hope that you can all see and hear me loud and clear.
We see you. I don't know if you have a presentation that you want to share with everybody.
I will share, yes.
Great, it's fine.
Very good. So thank you, Philip. Indeed, for me, the purpose today was to share about what the LiPLANET network is about for a software provider like ourselves and Dassault Systèmes. So first things first, let me share what we do within this LiPLANET network at Dassault Systèmes. So maybe I need to update that view now, but anyway, So myself, Nicolas Valin, working as an external advisory board member in the LiPLANET network, and also working on two separate expert groups. First, of course, the expert group on digitalization that will be introduced by Professor Alejandro Franco next. And second, to a lesser extent, we also work within the production, cell design and recyclability expert group, as we have a huge interest, of course, to collaborate in that area. So as a software provider, we do not produce our own cells, we do not have labs, but our software need to stick as close as possible to what customers and the industry will need and the challenges around. So in that regards, maybe some context about Dassault Systems and what we do within that battery industry. Basically, we work on three big areas from the design and engineering on the bottom right part of the slide, also a lot on manufacturing, and finally on the life and end of life of the batteries. And what you see here in that slide is that we are participating to some networks or European project, of course, here focusing on LiPLANET for the production preparation from the pilot line to gigafactory, which is the core interest for today. We do have other projects such as Big Map, where we are involved in the development of a new methodology to develop battery materials. And we are also working with industry, a couple of customers at industrial scale for cell design, pack design, system design, but also cell gigafactory, pack manufacturing. And we'll be announcing quite soon the work we are doing for the battery news and the recycling. So that's it for the context on the Dassault system within the battery industry. And now focusing on the LiPLANET initiative and the pilot line. So what we see from our view in Dassault system is that this industry has lots of challenges, and pilot line is at the heart of that, because in that industry you will have new cell chemistry, you also have new manufacturing processes, and you have a huge need for new factories. So all that put together, the industry needs to move forward at a pace that is incredible. And pilot lines here, they aim at validating, shortening the innovation cycle, therefore validating the manufacturing process here at scale 1. And what we believe is that there are three core components that take into account into what the pilot line needs to do, which are on the material aspects, on the machines, the equipment. So we just heard from Hans here, but also on the environmental conditions that are fully part of this manufacturing process. And those three big elements need to converge to make sure that the manufacturing process will be validated and prepared for large-scale production. So this is, in our view, what pilot line stands for. And again, taking this view from the lab engineering to the pilot line to the gigafactory, the big thing for us at Dassault System and within this LiPLANET network is to, of course, reconcile the real world and the virtual world. So we zoom here within this pilot line step, and we deal a lot with the product, the material, and the process. And what we are currently doing in that project is having a couple of exchanges around, first, the best practices to develop materials and cells, so looking at the product itself, but also looking at best practices to validate the process. So product, process, huge connection here. And overall, the third pillar of what we do is about the way you deal, the way companies will deal with the information that is generated throughout the process of moving from the lab to the pilot line to the gigafactory. So the digital continuity between lab, pilot line, and gigafactory, but also the digital continuity between the product and the process worlds. So we work on that, reconciling the real world and the virtual world, with first trying to bring awareness of what digital can do. Second, of course, developing new best practices for process validation. And third, the goal we have is to scale that up for industrial use as an industrial software provider. So the main pillar of collaboration here is about making sure that we do what's best with the current digital solution on the market, build new ones, and scale that up for industrial use. To conclude here, this is part for us as the validation of the electrode and cell manufacturing process step. So again, what you have in the blue square here, again, we want to reconcile the world of material, the world of the machine, the equipment, and the world of the factory system, the environmental conditions. So through that digital thread, digital continuity, we want to bring all those three elements together to make sure we have a very good understanding of the manufacturing process step. On the other hand, we want to make sure we can gather relevant data from the real world to build an accurate model of the process step. The purpose of having such an accurate model of the process step is, of course, to be predictive as much as possible, to anticipate the way manufacturing will happen and behave, and of course, to shorten the innovation cycle. This is the main objective of the industry today. So what you have in the blue square here is what we try to do within LiPLANET, bridging the three elements of products, equipment, and environmental conditions, and also working with the real world to get real-life data and measurements. Having said that, this also comes into a larger framework, which is for industrial companies, where they will develop their products, so product engineering. They will develop the large-scale process. So here we talk about the process flow within the gigafactory, and also touching base here on the factory itself. And to end up on the right-hand side with the execution within the factory. So that blue square, what we try to do in LiPLANET is part of a big plan we have to have a virtual twin of gigafactories and gigafactories operations, reconciling the product, the process, and the factory. So the next step for us, we want to continue that collaboration with the group and the people and the stakeholders within LiPLANET to build even better model, even more accurate model of the process step to, again, be as predictive as possible. And if, well, to some extent, trying also to act on the control itself of the equipment and factory. So trying to work on the actions here. And finally, I said it already, it's also about working together to develop best practices, scale it up towards the industrial scale use. So that's it for me. And then I hand you over to you, Philippe.
Thank you very much, Nicolas. I think it was very very clear, and indeed all these the exchanges which are needed to reconcile, like you said, all the digital approach and the real world. I think that's really where LiPLANET fits and on the global landscape, and where really we can provide some important forum for really having these industry stakeholders like you, who contributes to the really building all these gigafactories, really meeting and exchanging and working together with the research world. And on that, I would like now to really to give the floor to the next. I think the transition is very clear and obvious with the next speaker, Professor Franco, who is more on the development of these digital tools and models, and really working on the appropriate methods really to assess the quality of the cells and the batteries. So Professor Franco, he's based in the Laboratoire de Réactivité de Chimie des Solides, if I'm right. I think LRCS, that's what it means.
Yes.
So based in Amiens, in the University de Picardie, Jules Verne, and also affiliated to the CNRS. So Alessandro, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Philippe. Do you see my screen?
Yes, it's fine.
Perfect. Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. So welcome everyone to my talk, where I'm going to talk about our motivation to be involved in Lithium Planet Network, and also as a chair of the expert group on digitalization. So telling you a little bit more what we are doing there. Okay. So as Philippe says, so I'm part of LRCS, which is a joint research unit between University of Picardie in Amiens and CNRS. And we are also the headquarters of the French Network on Energy Storage, or RS2E. And we are also members of the Alistor network, which is actually a European research institute dealing with batteries. And we are about something like 130 people, right, working mostly on battery technologies. And we have a prototyping line in our place, so which is dealing with prototyping of lithium-ion battery cells and sodium-ion battery cells, mostly with a cylindrical shape. And we have found a startup on the topic of sodium-ion batteries called Tiamat a few years ago. So we are also very, very much interested on digitalization, and in particular regarding this topic. So I'm holding a ERC project since 2018, where we develop a digital twin of lithium-ion battery electrode fabrication, combining mechanistic models describing all the steps along the manufacturing process. So from the mixing of the powders up to the electrochemical operation, right, of the electrodes, and combining also machine learning models, which are able to unravel interdependencies between electrode properties and manufacturing parameters. And we are also developing online services. That means computational tools that people that are really out of the programming knowledge, right? I mean, I would say more experimentalists can play with, okay? With, for example, they can simulate using the internet browser the impact of different manufacturing parameters on electrode properties, right? So we are talking about digital twins, for sure. Why we need digital twins, right? So if we take a look in the production of real battery cells or real electrodes, in particular prototyping, right, of these devices, we may have a very high scrap rate, okay? In particular, if we are in the prototyping at the prototyping level, because in that scale, so we are playing a lot with the parameters. So we have a lot of variability of the parameters along this manufacturing process. Therefore, so it will be very nice having, let's say, a copy in the computer of the real process, which is called the digital twin, which can perform somehow on-the-fly optimization of these manufacturing parameters in order to achieve faster the goals in terms of electrode properties and cell performance. And this is something that can be achieved if you implement, for example, sensors in the real manufacturing line to collect data. You feed this data in the digital twin, and then the digital twin, through actuators, can provide instructions to the different machines in order to optimize on the fly the process parameters which are being concerned, right? This is the overall idea. So what is a digital twin and why we need it, right? For optimization and reduce the scrap rate. But then in the core of these digital twins, you have computational models predicting the influence of manufacturing parameters on electrode and cell properties, right? And you can imagine two types of models in the digital twins, or a combination of both types of models, such as mechanistic models describing the physics all along a given manufacturing step, such as, for example, so describing how calendering pressure is going to impact electron microstructure. So these kind of models are very useful for deeper understanding of a given process step. But also you can imagine the core of digital twin machine learning models, which are based on data, right? And these models are very useful for discovering correlation between outputs and inputs in data sets, right, coming from experiments. But also they can be very useful to derive surrogate models, that means simplified models that can run very fast in a computer, and they can be therefore integrate very easily in optimization loops, in algorithms performing optimization in quasi-real time, right? Which is very useful for this idea of digital twins to optimize on-the-fly manufacturing process, right? These machine learning models can be also populated with data calculated using mechanistic models, which are high fidelity models. And also these mechanistic models, they can provide interpretation of the results coming out from the machine learning models, which are usually black box models, right? Which make predictions, but they don't explain why the reasons of these predictions, right? But if we are talking about digital twins and models in the core, for sure, we need to talk about dealing with data, right? And we need also to talk about the need of standardizing the data, right? In relation to battery manufacturing in particular. And if we take a look in literature, so we see that it is a big issue there, because majority of papers, I mean, dealing in particular with lithium-ion batteries, they don't refer to very important properties or very important descriptors of electron microstructure, such as the porosity or the thickness of the electron, right? Therefore, so we really need here developing standardization, right, of data reporting, and in particular data arising from prototyping lines, right? And this is exactly what we are doing in our expert group, digitalization, measurement methods, and quality. So we are performing a classification of battery manufacturing data types in regards of their future integration in digital twins of prototyping lines. Okay, this is the specific topic, the specific focus of this classification we're performing. This classification is based on a transdisciplinary view, I mean, support on material science, process engineering, and also, of course, computational modeling. And we aim here to build practical recipes on how to implement digital twins from this data classification, right? And we hope that with this, we can provide recommendations of good practices, right? If you want to develop a digital twin, what you need to do in practice, right? Here, we don't intend to review the state of the art. We really intend to provide practical recipes to develop a digital twin of a prototyping line, right? And in this regard, so we believe that we are a step further versus the state of the art, right? I think this is quite unique, right? So this is possible because there are many people, I mean, working together in this expert group. So we are right now 22 active members from different institutions, which are listed here. So these people is really active. So it is not people just attending a meeting, you know, and not giving any feedback. So all these 22 people, so they're very active, giving a lot of feedback, a lot of inputs, right, for elaborating this concept and this idea. And then so we are crystallizing this action, so in the form of a white paper and an article that will be published in a peer-reviewed journal soon. And this is thanks, of course, a collective effort organized through monthly meetings, as Conrad mentioned at the beginning of this conference. I mean, started in May 2021. And also, so longer term objectives will be building an interactive web app for manufacturing data type exploration, and also for providing in an interactive way recommendations about group practices to implement so these digital twins of prototyping lines. The expected impact of this action is, there are many possible impacts right here. I'm listing just a few of them. So of course, providing recommendations for practical implementation of these digital twins of prototyping lines, but also providing useful input for other standardization initiatives going on right now in this battery landscape, right? Like Battery 2030 Plus, but also others. And also for sure, providing recommendations for future European projects, and also of course, networking, right? And maybe crystallize some kind of joint European project on this topic of digitalization of prototyping lines. So last but not least, I would like to welcome everyone. I mean, the people who is not yet involved on this in this Lithium Planet network, and in particular in this expert group, because we really need, I mean, to develop a federative action in this regard in order to make the digitalization of prototyping lines a reality, right, across Europe. Thank you very much, and Philippe, and well, I think the floor is yours now.
Thank you very much, Alessandro. I really like the way you illustrate the people who contribute to your expert group on this slide. It's they look very nice. So yes, indeed, I think that everybody is welcome to join. And well, this being said, I think that you very clearly demonstrated how LiPLANET is really at the crossroad of the different worlds which are needed really to succeed in implementing this battery value chain, industrial value chain in Europe with the support of digital tools and the different stakeholders who are contributing to this expert group. I think it's really amazing to see that it's not just about a few crazy researchers like you have on the screen here, but also people coming from companies and industrial players who are also very much interested in contributing to that. So thank you very much for this very interesting presentation, Alessandro.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's move now to the last presentation of today that will be given by Dimitra Maleka from InnoEnergy. So Dimitra was also actively contributing to the LiPLANET project for the elaboration of trainings in the scope of the LiPLANET project. And what we agreed is that we thought that it would be also interesting to put this in perspective with all the initiatives which are really currently conducted. Dimitra is also actively contributing to an informal network of the different initiatives which popped up on education and skills for batteries. You know that there is a huge need for new researchers, new engineers, for new workers in the field of batteries, really to feed the impressive needs. I guess you will provide us with some figures, Dimitra, on really what are the expected requirements regarding workforce for really to operate these gigafactories, but also to deal with the transformation of the automotive world, for example. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philippe, for your kind introduction. It's a great pleasure to be here today and present, and happy to see so many people joining. So indeed, during my presentation, I will, of course, present the work done in 2021 under the LiPLANET project when it comes to the training materials and connection to battery trainings, but I will briefly introduce the main European initiatives also. So we have already discussed today, and I will not go into details, but there is a massive need for batteries. The market grows, and that leads to a massive need for workforce. So it's very clear from the European, at the European level, that there is a very strong focus on developing, strengthening, and already existing, but yet not enough, highly skilled workforce in the battery sector. And it's extremely important to bridge the growing skills gap across the battery value chain. You mentioned figures. I do not have them here, but on the top of my head, of course, I have them. So we know certainly that more than 800,000 people will need to be retrained by 2025. There will be more than 4 million jobs that will be created at the same time frame. And that, of course, is very dynamic and changes continuously. So to achieve this, it is very important to reskill and upskill the workforce, and both at the EU level, but also at the country level. For this purpose, exactly the last years, there have been a number of initiatives, activities, projects, even alliances that work against these objectives. When it comes to LiPLANET, for example, one of the relevant objectives under the LiPLANET project was the development and facilitation of training sessions to bridge the skill gaps in pilot lines and facilitate the knowledge exchange and transfer along the network, but also any other interested stakeholders. So as a starting point, what we did was to understand the potential skill and knowledge gaps, and that served as as the basis to define the main topics and the suitable format for the trainings that were developed in 2021. And the work was carried out in collaboration with a number of experts within the consortium, so to ensure the high quality content. In particular, the experts were from TU Braunschweig, CDTech, AIT, ABE, Université de Picardie, Jules Verne. Some of the experts you even saw today presenting. So I would like to start from the first point. In the beginning of 2021, the LiPLANET Consortium, as a first step, conducted a survey to understand the most urgent skill gaps in the pilot lines. I will not go into details for the sake of time, but based on the findings, a number of virtual training sessions and video-based trainings were developed and delivered online due to COVID, of course, as it was mentioned from Professor Pad, between October and November in 2021. In particular, the video-based trainings were focused on 3 different topics, starting from the battery cell chemistries, where this video-based training focuses on the different battery cell chemistries, their advantages, disadvantages, and limitations. Battery components and pouch cell production process, presenting the pouch cell prototype production process and the effects of the individual process steps to the overall cell performance. A 3-part video training on battery cell manufacturing process, presenting the individual steps of the electrode and cell production and the most important factors of each of these steps. Then we had also virtual training sessions. These were meant to be face-to-face, but unfortunately, one of them was digitalization in battery production, where it focused on the opportunities and challenges of digitalization in this area. We also had a 2-part virtual training on modeling and simulation of cells, where the various strategies of modeling in battery designing and manufacturing were presented. Then the cell design and electrode manufacturing, this training focused on the steps and possibilities on the electrode and cell production and the most important factors of each process step, basically deep diving into what was also shown in the video-based training on the same topic. And lastly, physical and machine learning modeling of battery manufacturing processes, where the different physics-based models and machine learning-based modeling strategies were presented. The models and strategies that allow predicting the influence of manufacturing parameters on the properties of the electrodes. And we're happy to say that all these trainings have received positive feedback, and we already heard that this will be something that the LiPLANET network will continue on providing. Moving forward to the second part of my presentation, I would like to briefly present other European initiatives and activities and projects focusing on skills and education, with which LiPLANET is in very close collaboration with the last 2 years. As there are several of those initiatives and activities along the battery value chain, we realize there are many common objectives, such as identifying the skill gaps, measuring the needs, quantifying the needs, wanting as a main objective to reskill and upskill the workforce, developing new curricula, etc., etc. Since we saw that there was a certain common ground, indeed this EduBattery network that Philip also mentioned, this unofficial group was created, which involves all the relevant representatives that you can see also on the right. And the reason and the aims of this network was, of course, identifying any ongoing activities that focus on education and skills along the battery value chain, avoid any overlaps, identify synergies, map out the activities and exchange information on existing areas, and of course, to motivate further the industry involvement. So providing a quick overview to each of them, and starting, of course, with LiPLANET. LiPLANET is, of course, represented in this network not only based on the work done in 2021, but based on the goals to further work towards these objectives through the expert group on education and training. And we already saw in the beginning, as Roman presented, it's a very important part in the LiPLANET roadmap. Also a very important project in this area is ALBATS, with the goal to develop a blueprint for sectoral cooperation on skills and in the battery and electromobility value chain, defining these emerging job roles, also learning objectives, aiming to provide pilot trainings and train-the-trainer solutions. Batteries Europe Task Force on Education and Skills during 2021 and early 2020 and early 2021. There was a lot of work on a position paper covering the available education programs, the gaps and challenges up to 2025 and 2030, the skill gaps, the educational needs in all education segments, from academic, professional, vocational, to even the public for awareness. Battery 2030 Plus has a dedicated work package on European curricula in battery technologies, with the aim to identify the contents for new curricula in Europe, engage young scientists, early stage researchers, but also there is a very specific target in collaboration with LiPLANET to formulate curricula for training at pilot lines for battery cell manufacturing. Fraunhofer is also another important player. They work on projections of the workforce requirement towards 2030 onwards. This is where the initial numbers were quantified on understanding this huge, immense need for the workforce. They also work on identifying relevant needs from an online survey with industry involvement, but also through a workshop on future expert needs along with EIT raw materials. EBA Academy by EIT No Energy, that I'm proudly a part of, initiated in 2021, also focuses on reskilling and upskilling immediately the workforce across the value chain. So our goal is extremely the short-term needs. But of course, this cannot happen without the collaboration with local training providers. Another goal we have is identifying the skill needs and gaps in close connection with the industry and our connection with the EBA 250 network. And another part is the training content to be created based on these industry needs. And we already have 30 courses that are available, as well as train-the-trainer solutions. Drives is the predecessor of ALBATS. It ended in December 2021 and focused heavily on the automotive sector. There has been a lot of important work that was done and is carried out now by the other initiatives on the job role definitions and skill cards connected to the automotive. There are also certain demo-free courses that are available, and the work is continued through the Automotive Skill Alliance, an alliance bringing together different types of different kind of stakeholders within the automotive ecosystem with a strong focus on skills. Alistor, a European research institute, focuses on high-level research of batteries and battery materials, and in close connection with an Erasmus Mundus 2-year joint master program MES. BEPA has initiated in 2022 a supporting task force on education and skills with main focus to map this landscape that we discussed today and define support activities on training and skills development. And last but not least, Destiny, a European doctorate program on battery research, provides a broad set of trainings in skills in this sector. I hope this gave you a good overview of what is there. There are a lot of things happening, which is of course very good. So thank you very much for your attention, and back to you, Philip.
Thank you, Dimitra. I think indeed it's impressive to see all the ongoing activities, and that will be really one of the topic that I propose to address in the upcoming panel discussion. How really to connect and to really identify the best contribution of the different stakeholders and different initiatives in this quite crowded ecosystem. So thank you very much, Dimitra, and thank you also for your contribution to these discussions on this ecosystem regarding education and skills. So let me now really introduce quickly the panel. So I'm not going to introduce again Johan Blondel and Professor Arnaud Quade, who were already part of the previous speakers, but ladies first. So Ilka van Dolwijk, that I guess most of you know because she's one of the very active contributors or managers managing the EBA, animating the EBA. I don't know what is the best word to qualify your activities in the EBA, Ilka. Maybe you will tell us. Simon Perrault, that is also well known in the ecosystem, attached to the CEA Litten. But also very much involved in Batteries Europe, and also the vice president of BIPA, the Batteries European Partnership Association, and Patrick Bernard, who is the corporate research director of SAF Batteries, and which, if I'm not mistaken, is also part of the external advisory board of LiPLANET. So I propose really to jump directly to the first question that I wanted to ask you to react, and maybe I will address this one first to Ilka, with your view coming from the EBA perspective, and really what you expect from really the ecosystem. How do you see really the achievement that has been obtained so far by LiPLANET?
Thank you very much, Philippe, for this kind introduction. And looking back to the very starting point of the European Battery Alliance, when we put a lot of the key stakeholders along the battery value chain together in a room for brainstorming really what should be done to accelerate the European battery industry. I think already back then, this network of pilot line was identified as one of the major actions, and actually made its way all the way into the action plan as action 15B. I had to look it up. That was sent into the European Commission, and it pleases me to see that this Horizon project developed so well that we actually now have an active network with industrial members, with researchers joining together and pushing this network forward, that I think is an important part of the ecosystem. And I think Nicolas Valin described it very good. It's the piece that links the research to the large scale manufacturing together. So I think this is already an achievement of itself, that it's now self-sustaining and thriving.
Thank you for that. Arnaud, if I may jump to you, what is your feeling from the inside? How do you consider really what has been achieved so far? Is it let's say just confirming what you were expecting, or did you discover other benefits of during conducting the project? What is your feeling about where we are now?
Yes, I think we have really fulfilled what we wanted to achieve in 2 years, especially set up all the organizational stuff, to be a really efficient network and association. But my feeling is, what I think is always most important is that, I think the people get to know each other very well. And I think also, the trust, between the pilot line operators was increasing a lot. And I think that is a very important point, that you talk to, your a competitor, you know, not as maybe a competitor, but like, let's say, a friend more or less, you know. And I think that is something what I feel is a very important point, you know, within our network, you know, and that the people help each other, you know, bringing forward their technology and maybe solving problems in the lines in the future, especially. Yeah. And also what was, I think, amazing also with the help of the external advisory board is really how, let's say, big is the future view in the roadmap that what we developed. I think that was really a workshop with a lot of ideas and how that was now really canalized, you know, to this roadmap. I didn't thought that it would be so powerful, let's say, at the end. Yeah.
And now, if we look at the future, what would be your expectations or your big concerns? I would say really, what do you anticipate really as being the main benefits, but also the main challenge in front of you? And I will address this question also to all of the panelists later.
I mean, maybe two short comments to that. I mean, one, I think it's very important that we further work together in projects, you know. So that's if we only do it by, you know, having fun to meet maybe once a month shortly, I think that will not be successful or will be not sustainable for a longer time, you know. So we should have really the possibility to work together in larger projects. And that we learned also in Germany that this is very important. Yeah? And I think that is one point. And the second one is, you know, to have some yeah, let's say at the end, some resources, you know, to keep an active office, you know, active people to, you know, organize meetings, to have workshops and so on, you know. And I think that is also something we have to figure out for the future. And maybe also, you know, how to work more together now. I think it's really starting nice, you know, because the gigalines, they now you know, they slowly setting up, and the companies are very young and now looking more inside than outside. But we had already some connections, and they're really looking forward to work much more together with the pilot lines. And hopefully we can canalize it by LiPLANET in the future.
Okay, maybe addressing the question to Patrick from an industrial point of view, are we not too late? Is it still time really to put all this organization in place, Patrick?
No, it's never too late, because in fact we are in a fast-changing world. Technology are changing every day. So for sure, LiPLANET is not a nice to have, it's a must to have, definitively. So and here I think we have as in every project we have a vision, or we need a vision, but we have the vision, we have the man, we have the process. There is also a roadmap with continuous improvement and quick wins also. And for sure, we got the man, we got the process. We have to keep this vision, that is to say the willingness to work all together and to deliver some pilots to accelerate the transfer of new technologies, new material, and to supplement the industrial in Europe to develop the European technologies, the European jobs. So for sure, it's absolutely mandatory to have that. And don't imagine that even for a big company like Saft, which is part of Total, we have a GV with Stellantis, with Mercedes, but we need that, because you always need to de-risk, you always need to increase the maturity of the technology, and from time to time, you need some external resources to accelerate, to supplement your R&D efforts. And even though we have also, of course, big pilot lines, but with a large versatility, but we need also this pilot lines available for testing, for de-risking, for benchmarking technologies, and to transfer it to the industry for sure.
Okay, thank you. Simon, from your point of view, the big challenges in front of LiPLANET, what would they be?
Yes, so I think Arnaud and the other have already pointed out some challenges. One particular challenge, according to me, is the fact that now things are moving very fast. I remember when we started discussing about LiPLANET network with Arnaud, with Oscar, and other colleagues. At that time, it was back in 2017. There was almost nothing in Europe. There were some projects, but now the landscape is completely different. There are almost or more than 30 gigafactories projects in Europe right now. So the landscape has completely changed in 4 or 5 years. So it means that for the LiPLANET network and for the research community as a whole, one big challenge is to keep the pace, and to keep bringing added value to the industry and to the industrial value chain. So we need to move fast, and also we need to support the full value chain. Of course, supporting the cell industry is key, is mandatory, but also supporting the other part of the value chain, which are maybe now less. Some of these segments, some of these value chain segments are maybe less advanced. I'm thinking, for example, on about the equipment supplier. Probably one of the weakness today of the European value chain is equipment supplier industry. Of course, we have some great companies like MENS, like Stefano presented before. But still, the equipment supplier industry in Europe is still quite weak when we compare to what is ongoing in Asia. So I think that the LiPLANET network and the research community as a whole should support the full value chain and move fast, because things are moving much faster than anticipated.
Yeah. Ilka, I saw you were nodding and agreeing to what was said. Any comment from your side?
Yes, I really like the point that Simon raised on the gaps in the value chain where we should put additional focus. I think the LiPLANET network already has identified some of the steps. They're also looking at recycling processes that are a challenge to dismantle and like the process to actually get to the materials, and then the material, of course, is another step. But I think what we saw from the beginning when this network started, it was very strict, this limitation to lithium ion pilot lines. And I think we saw this already changing and widening and opening, and there is also a lot of new emerging battery chemistries that we see is coming around, where Europe still needs to actually step up efforts, where once again Asia is far ahead. And I think this is a good trend to be flexible and open for this growing battery chemistries and technologies that are out there for all steps of the value chain.
Thank you. Maybe I would like now to turn to Johan. What's your, well, you shared already some of your expectations in your presentations. Any reaction on what you heard so far?
Yes, and in fact, I have a very optimistic vision for the future of LiPLANET. Honestly, I think the biggest work for LiPLANET is still ahead, because once we start moving into generation 4, there will be a need for all of Europe to rapidly catch up together. We cannot afford to be left behind. And there I really see a very strong confederating role for LiPLANET. But that, at the same time, will require a lot of resources. And when you talk resources, you talk money. So the big question will be, how can we fund all of this? And I think LiPLANET really should develop a value proposition with paid services, for instance, because I think just a membership fee will not be sufficient to cover all of these activities. But I see a lot of perspective and potential there.
Yeah, and this brings me to the last topic I wanted to open and to discuss with you, which is about synergies. Because if we are talking about funding and cost and really to have some really contributing, well, some value on the ecosystem, I think that there is a buzzword about these synergies, which is the positive way of saying let's avoid a duplication. And so I really and I think there was a great illustration of all the initiatives in the field of education, for example, which are ongoing, and I think they are all relevant. The question now is, how can we make this, let's say, better connected and better interacting, or maybe even by maybe merging some of these. Why not? Really we are sure that we get the best impact of from all the effort that everybody is contributing to these topics. So I really would like to ask you how you see the future in terms of what are the priority synergy that LiPLANET should work on in the coming years. I don't know who wants to take the floor on this. Yeah, Johan. Yeah.
I can start just to get the ball rolling. I think synergies with the ETIP, Batteries Europe, and the partnership Bat4U, those are obvious. Those need to be established and need to be reinforced. Looking broader than that, I see a very strong opportunity in important projects of common European interest, the IPCIs, because there also there is a lot of attention going into pilot lines, and I think there is a lot that can be learned from there. At the same time, it is very competitive. It is shrouded in confidentiality clauses, so it will be a bit delicate, but maybe with a little bit of delay, I think we can harvest a lot of the experiences in these IPCI projects, who also have the obligation to disseminate their activities and their results. So I think that would certainly be a great opportunity.
There was a nice comment I got from Stefano in the chat, telling me that to compete is coming from the Latin word competere, that means together run to the same destination. And I think that's a very great comment, and maybe this could be a motto that we should adopt really when we are talking about how to best or better compete. Really, that would be to really agree on what is our common goal, and I think we are all convinced about what we are really competing for. Now we maybe we still have to a little bit discuss and redefine the ecosystem so that really we are the most efficient to this. Any other comment from maybe Simon? You are in most of these existing initiatives. So what would be your view on this? How really to develop these synergies between LiPLANET and Batteries Europe or BEPA, for example?
Yeah. Okay. What I will say is not directly for LiPLANET. It's more general remark concerning all the initiatives that we have heard today. I think that today the battery landscape for research and innovation I'm talking about. So the battery landscape is quite complex and quite crowded, and it's maybe it's becoming a problem, becoming an issue. again, when we started all of this back I don't know, in 2017, when the European Battery Alliance was launched, there was almost nothing in Europe. So we needed to structure the community and the research community. So I think it's normal that many initiatives appeared and developed, and it was a very good thing, because it brought nice results. But maybe now it's time to look at it and try to see how we can consolidate it and make it simpler and more unified. Because in the long run, I think that if the battery community is not united, then it can be a problem in the future. So so it means that, of course, we should develop synergies, but maybe we should also think a little bit further. And in some cases, I don't say that it will apply to everything, but in some specific cases, we should go beyond synergies and also try to have a kind of integration, of the different initiatives in terms of processes, in terms of governance, also in terms of communication, because I know that many stakeholders in France and in Europe, especially from industry, they don't always understand what's going on because it's a very complex landscape. So, but again, this is a general remark for, let's say, for all of us, not only for LiPLANET, and something that we should do in the future, to be more united and to in some cases to try to speak as one voice and not as many different voices.
Any comment, Ilka? Ilka, and then Arnaud, I will give you the floor for the final words. We are running a little bit behind schedule, so we need to hurry up. But I would like to maybe to listen to the others.
Once again, I think I agree with Simon. It's a complex landscape, and for Europe, it is, I think, at this point sometimes more important to speak with one voice. When it comes to competition, it's a growing industry still in Europe, and before we compete internally, I think we should grow and cooperate together. And I think with this new geopolitical landscape that is emerging in front of our eyes, cooperation and also maybe in the future strategic alliances to other parts and across the Atlantic is something that we should work and thrive for. So that would be my remark. And another one, what was said before, I think it is also from more coming from an industrial perspective. For the SMEs, I think it is very important to have this network really for this de-risking. So not from the industry perspective, from the research perspective, but from the industry perspective, because it helps accelerating the innovation uptake. So this is something to work for.
Absolutely, yeah, I fully agree with you. And maybe before giving you the floor, Arnaud, for concluding, Patrick, any comment from your side on from the point of view of an industrial stakeholder?
I think the last conclusion from Ilka was absolutely smart and absolutely right. In fact, it's exactly the vision we are facing today. And your remark also, Philippe, was absolutely right. Before going and competing between different European companies, we have to work together. Gen 4, for example, is absolutely for the future. But today, even for very big company, now the money needed to develop it or to work with different partners is so high. You can see that in press releases every day that we definitely, again, LiPLANET is a must to have, is a must to try to develop, to accelerate this development. And without that, everybody works in his own court, but it's not the right way to do it in Europe. So for sure, it's the right way to do it here.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the view, and sorry for the quite short time for this panel discussion. I think we could have extended it for maybe half an hour more than what we did, but we were running a little bit behind schedule, and I don't want to take too much of extra time. So I will now move to Arnaud for a final conclusion of this conference. Before I do that, just please, if you will see in the chat, we will post in the chat a link to a survey just to get your feeling more or less on the fly about how you felt about the quality of this event. So please take just 2 minutes to fill in this survey that really help us to improve for the next time. So thank you again to all of you, and Arnaud, I give you the floor for the conclusion. Arnaud, are you still with us?
Yes, I forgot to open my micro. Yeah. Okay. No, I just said, yeah, thank you very much, Philippe, for the really great, what is it? Organization here of this final conference, and also bringing us through this 3 hours. And thank you very much, especially also for the panelists just before, for their comments and wishes and visions for the future. I put on here the slide again, so maybe you can have a look. I don't want to go through it again, but from my point of view, I hope that we really showed to you what we achieved in this 2 years when the LiPLANET project was active, and now what we have with our LiPLANET network. So I think it's really not a pleasure, but it's what is really special, I think, also in Europe. So it's maybe engineering focused research, and it's what is also already said, it's closes the gap between, let's say, more basic material research and really giga factories and their production lines. And also what was said, I think what is very important also from my point of view is really that we, let's say, work together as a team, you know, with our institutions and pilot lines. And only by that, I think we can be really competitive to the Asian market and the Asian companies. So that's, I think with LiPLANET, we are really on the right track. And also what was said, I think the further development of the pilot lines in direction to generation 4 cells, and also what I think is recycling, and also maybe direct recycling within production. I think that's really important themes also for the pilot line, for the giga lines or giga factories. Regarding starting up these gigafactories. So there's a lot to do. And also what come up or was see inside the panel, I think it would be maybe nice to have a workshop with all the different initiatives in Europe, and to see which is exactly which role of the initiative, and to see how they can work really effectively together. You know, maybe we should organize that by BIPA or something like that. Sure. So, and at the end, I would like to thank all of you, you know, to have been here in our final conference and stay with us for 3 hours. And we really hope to see you in the expert groups or in other training sessions of LiPLANET or on conferences. Yeah, so by that, from my side, goodbye, and hopefully to see you soon again.
Thank you very much, Arnaud. And don't get it wrong, final conference of the project, but not of the LiPLANET activities, of course. And that's just a transition now from the project to a more sustainable and durable network. Whatever the form it will take in the future, if indeed we manage to get this clarification, simplification of the ecosystem. And I take your suggestion, and that's definitely something I'd like to discuss also with the other stakeholders and who are involved in the ecosystem. Really, how we can improve really or simplify the ecosystem without losing any of the benefits of all the ongoing initiatives. Thank you very much to you. Thank you to all who attended this meeting. Please provide us, take the 2 minutes to fill the survey, and hopefully see you soon, and hopefully see you soon physically. Bye bye everybody. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.